Let's talk anime. Hello and welcome to Brandon's Discuss Anime, a Reckless Amoeba podcast. I am your host, Brandon Horvath, and with me are my co-hosts, Brandon Falinger.
I'm a thing. I'm a person. I'm here. I think. Maybe.
Are you sure?
No.
Wow, that's deep. And also with us, as usual, Ryan Stokely.
Hey yo, what's up?
Ding dong, the witch is dead.
Yeah.
So, I saw the most interesting thing. An April Fool's joke a lot of people got pissed off wasn't real. So, this one company is making it real. For a very, very, very limited time in Japan in, I believe, mid September,
hmm
for 4 days only, Piranha Ramen.
Really?
What?
Piranha Ramen.
I mean, is it legitimately piranha that's in there, or is it
Yes,
something? Okay.
this is 100% piranha broth in your soup.
Hmm.
Aminal crackers in my soup.
It
Monkeys and rabbits.
was at. Let me see if I can find the name. No, I can't find the Holiday Jack. The name of the place is Holiday Jack. And it is late September from the 20th to the 23rd at the Ninja Cafe and Bar in Japan. So the Ninja
Hmm.
Cafe and Bar, sponsored by Tokyo Jack, and it will cost 3,000 yen. And for an optional 2,500 yen, you could get a whole piranha on your soup.
I don't know if I'd want a whole piranha. I I feel like that's
Creepy?
no, I feel like I wouldn't know how to eat it, right? Because I don't know for sure like how much meat is on a piranha. I don't know the bone structure of a piranha. Like I assume it'd be the same as a normal fish, but like I'd be curious, like, is there really a lot of meat on there, or is it just like bone and skin?
I guess.
You're not gonna go out and eat a coelacanth because that thing's just like rock hard scales and bone. There's like no meat there, I think.
100 bowls will be served on the first day, 300 bowls every other day.
For how long?
4 days, September
Damn.
20th to the 23rd.
I'm honestly kind of surprised they didn't just go for the week, unless it's just not that sustainable as far as like cost input.
And then again, they only bought 2,000 piranha.
Oh, there you go. That might be why, because piranha might very well be more expensive than we know of. Because I mean,
Yeah.
they come from one place, as far as I know,
Yep, the Amazon rainforest, I think.
which is burning down.
Yes.
Oh no.
Only
Yeah,
a
we don't want to
fifth
get
of
political
it.
here, but yeah, don't burn down rainforests. Sounds like a bad idea to begin with.
Yeah, is those salty people that didn't get their ways. Like basically like McDonald's needed or wanted more farmland for cows.
Mm-hmm.
They were like one of the people, I guess. And whoever else just decided to burn it down to make room for
It was
their
like
cattle
lumber.
farms.
Yeah, it was also like lumber people or whatever, something like that,
Yeah.
like workers that did it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, come on, man, really? We were already having issues as it is with our environment, and
Yeah.
here you are making everything worse for everyone else. Fucking get the money and dollar signs out of your eyes and actually look at what's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, moving on.
Yay! Moving on!
Don't burn down forests. That's the moral of this story.
Or else a big brown bear will punch you in the dick.
I mean, I feel like he'd do a little more than that, but you know, he can't get into it on a family show like this.
He will say, only you can prevent forest fires, and then punch him in the dick.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he'd do a bit more if he started lighting the rainforest on fire. I feel
He
like that calls for a bit more pain.
Maul you?
I mean, maul your dick specifically. It would be my, you know. And you know,
Oh,
if you survive, cool. If not, great. That's another warning for everyone else.
He is a bear, of course.
No, when you burn down the forest, there's a lot of honey that goes to waste. Turns out it's Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, bother.
Oh, bother, you started burning down the forest and the honey. I guess I'll have to murder you.
Anything else?
I'm trying to think of like
Any
the shit
more
that's
good
gone on
news?
lately. I've heard that Apex Legends has done some shit that people aren't happy about.
Yeah.
Oh no. What now?
They Oh boy. Where to start with this one? Okay. So they started off their free-to-play game. Cool, right? It's great.
Hmm.
It's kind of like Overwatch, you know, same kind of setup and monetary, you know, setup. Sure, whatever. Overwatch you did have to pay $60 for. This one you don't.
Hmm.
Here's where things start getting fucky. They decided that the best option that they could do was create this thing called this event. I forget what it was called, like Iron Throne or something like that. I don't remember. Point is, they introduced a whole bunch of cosmetics and shit to the game. Cool, not affecting gameplay. That's great. Everybody's happy with that. Here's the part where it becomes an issue. You can only earn 2 of the loot boxes for this event in game for free. Each loot box costs about $7.
Mm.
You don't get duplicates, which, you know, cool. That means that there is a strict limit on how much you need to put in to get everything in there. Except that there's one more item that's locked behind the fact that you need to have the entire collection. And then on top of that, you need to pay money to get it. Or, you know, the in-game currency to get it.
Yeah.
Which winds up, according to the math and the best way of purchasing things to get it for the cheapest price, about $214, $15. Something along those lines.
Jeez.
Like some ludicrous amount of money. And it's like you're literally forcing, if we want this one item, you're forcing us to buy through all of this shit. Like, we don't get, this isn't player choice, this is demand from a publisher or a dev, one of the two, whoever it is.
All for one item.
All for one item. If you really want it, it's the only way to do it.
Is it some super powerful, unique?
Oh, it's unique, and it goes away when the event's done. But it's not anything that's going to give you any kind of advantage over another player. It's purely
goes
cosmetic.
away.
Yep.
Yeah, to make it more rare, I guess.
Yeah,
What
it's
the hell?
well, I mean, Fate Go does that too, where they have their banners. A lot of them do that. However, they don't lock shit behind a mandatory paywall to get it.
Oh, when you said it went away, I thought it permanently went away from everybody's inventory.
Oh, no.
Oh.
No. It stays in your inventory if you've paid the requisite amount of money to get everything.
Okay, that's 1% better, and only 1%.
But no, like, a lot of them use this tactic of like false rarity, where it's like, oh man, you don't get it now, it goes away forever. And you know, I play on that with you sometimes, like with Summer Mordred and you not getting her.
$75. Not 200 though.
Well, yeah, like obviously, but I mean, you also like have self-control. But I mean, for a kid that's playing this game, do they have the self-control or the realization of what they're doing?
Damn it, Apex.
And it's EA again, shocking no one at this point that's pulling this garbage.
I also heard that's Crash Nitro fueled.
Yes. Yeah. you were talking about getting this at one point so we could all play it, and then like a week or two later, I heard this shit come out about how they're shoveling in loot box and microtransactions after the game's already been released.
I think it was more like 2 or 3 months, but from what I understand, the loot boxes and the microtransactions are not 100% necessary since you still earn the in-game currency.
You do, but they've slowed down the rate at which you get those things.
Yeah.
Like it's hyper grindy. And they
Yeah.
make it that way so it prompts you to go for the loot boxes or the microtransactions.
Yep.
And it's fucking stupid. Nobody likes that shit.
The only reason
Yeah.
why I suggested we get Crash, because I heard, and maybe this is because I loved the first one when I was a small child, but I always found it to be better than Mario Kart.
I mean, here's the other thing, right? You were supposed they came out and said, "Oh, hey, this is going to be a game that stays true to the original," you know, and all that shit. And then it's like they didn't have microtransactions in the original. What are you doing?
Yeah. But I know a lot of people may get some flack on me for saying Crash is better than Mario Kart, but I know Crash Kart only has 3 games. Mario Kart has, what, 11 at this point?
I mean, I think it's 10, yeah. And that just comes down to like probably better
Yeah.
branding.
Well, Crash had a story mode,
Mm-hmm.
and that was fun.
Crash.
Yes, Crash Racing did have a story mode.
Crash Bandicoot.
Yes, Crash Bandicoot. Crash Bandicoot.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yep.
There's like 3 characters on there.
Crash Team Racing, Crash, Nitro Kart, and I believe Crash Boom Bang? No, Crash Tag Team Racing was the third.
Oh, so they pulled off a double dash kind of thing, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even know he had racing games. I probably played them too.
Yeah.
I played it like one time on a friend's PSP at one point. I remember that, and I thought it was okay. It didn't feel any better to me. Now, granted, that was also on a PSP, so you know who
Yeah.
knows with that tech, if a racing game is really good for it or not.
And maybe it was just the story mode that got me in. I'm like, oh yeah, Mario doesn't have a story mode. I don't know.
Mhm.
So let's enter into today's anime. Although, just by the title, Orion, you may be able to guess what it is vaguely.
Okay.
If he remembers, we'll see.
Yeah, if you remember, Fate Extra Last Encore.
Okay. Well, that Fate series.
Yes.
He remembers the name. Does he remember what was on about it?
That's like the game you guys play, right?
We play Fate Grand Order. Yes, part of the same franchise.
Yeah. What was it called? Extra.
Extra Last Encore is this.
Extra Last Encore. That's too long of a title. They should change it.
Well,
I'm not going to disagree with him.
no, they also had, I believe, Extra Last Encore CCC, or was
I don't
just?
I don't think
CCC?
last on. I think it's extra CCC. I don't think Last Encore is part of that one.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, you're right. It's just Extra CCC.
Yeah. That's basically my guess.
Okay.
It's more of the like with those characters and more of
Historical figures fighting each other.
yes.
And how long has this franchise been around?
Can I,
Early
Can I-
2000s, I want to say.
okay.
So,
Early to mid 2000s.
many iterations, many alternate timelines, crossing over timelines. They even had a comedy series where everybody from up to that point got together in one series and had zany adventures. The main servant this time is a Saberface, which
Shocking. No one at this point.
maybe Ryan, since he has no clue what Saberface means,
Nope.
Fair.
but Saberface means that it's drawn to be like Arteria from Fate Stay Night and Fate Zero. And
This is probably the most blatant copy of her, actually.
so Mordred from Fate
Apocrypha.
was Saberface. Nero, Emperor Nero from Rome, is our main protagonist. And she is also a Saberface. I believe in Grand Order, there are.
There's 3 different versions of her, at least at this point in the American version.
I think like all together, if you split it between like the different classes, there's 20-ish Saberface servants. So that design, and granted they're iterations of the same character.
A lot of them are just variations of one character, like whether it's like a corrupted version, whether it's like an older version, etc., etc. It's the same character. It's just she's been changed in one way or another.
But this design gets used a lot.
I'm not gonna disagree with the design because I do like the design. I do wish there was a bit more going on to differentiate her besides just her outfit. Well, outfit and personality.
Yeah, but
Sorry.
Arteria's dark form doesn't have the big hair sticking up.
Yeah, that's one little thing on her hairstyle.
Oh, and jumping to Carnival Phantasm for just a second, which is a comedy version. Arteria gets pissed off at Gilgamesh, so she pulls off the ahoge, or the loose strand of hair sticking up, and
Stupid hair.
stupid hair, and transforms into her dark form. So she just like tears off her hair and just gains this dark aura.
Why that's the switch, I don't know, but it's a hilarious concept. Of just, I'm gonna pluck this one strand of hair that just bobs around on the top of my head, and then I'm gonna go evil because of it. And it's just like, what? It's like, wait, what? I'm sorry, go back. What happened?
They have so much more materials now. They should make a sequel to Carnival Phantasm.
It would be cool to see.
Okay, but Fate Extra is a sub-universe by itself, since there's 6 installments in the Fate Extra franchise, I think?
Something like that. I'm honestly not certain.
All based on a PSP game.
Really?
Well, the original Fate was based on a visual novel, so this is an RPG/visual novel from what I've seen,
Yeah, it's a combination of that, if I recall correctly.
rather than a straight-up visual novel, which I guess is kind of interesting that you can actually do some fighting and not just read about people fighting.
Yeah. If I remember right, I think the original Fate Stay was more of a fighter, actually, like a 2D fighter, I think, if I recall.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Take the old like anime fighters, right? And it was closer to a like the original Dragon Ball Z Budokai, if you've ever played that one. Probably close to that.
I thought Fate was initially a visual novel, and
It is, but it had fight sequences, as I recall.
really?
think so.
I did not know that.
Unless that was like a later iteration of the game or something, but I remember there was actually versions of it. Hell, I think Xtella actually has it where you can get the original models of Gilgamesh, Arturia, and Emiya from the PS2 game.
I will have to look into that. Okay, and just a little thing for any listeners that we or may not be having a deep end discussion on this because, oh boy, this is an anime.
God, it comes down to so much bullshit of just like you need to have. They originally came out with this and they're like, we wanted to make it so that if you hadn't played the game before, you could still watch and enjoy this and blah, blah, blah. And I don't think they succeeded.
Even people who played Fate Extra somewhat had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, I really don't think they succeeded with that that goal that they had.
Our main character is Hakuno
Matata.
Hakuna Matata. That's actually pretty good. I'll give you
Hakuno
that one.
Kishinami, a student at. Do they give the name of the school or not?
They do give it. I don't remember what it is. It's honestly not super important.
Yes. Because he's killed in the first episode.
More or less, yeah, he's kind of dead.
Very dead.
Yeah.
Because there's a Holy Grail war starting.
Again, here's one thing to mention too about like this whole Holy Grail war. They're not all just like magic cups. Holy Grail in this series, in this franchise, is more of a title than anything else. It's just a big mass of energy that would allow you to then use it to grant a wish, essentially.
In the game, and I'm not too sure if the number... No, the number was right here. Instead of 7 masters, one of each class, there's 128.
Yes.
That was the first... Wait, what? For me.
It's essentially a free-for-all, or at least that was the idea initially. See, here's the thing. Hakuno comes back, but he comes back like years later. 1,000 years later. So everything that had occurred in that series or in the original game has already transpired.
So he is not the main character of the Fate Extra game?
Not 100%, no. I mean, he is the male version of the protagonist you could select because you had a male or female choice. But according to this version of events, the female was the original protagonist. Kind of like how when you look at Pokemon and it's like, oh man, who was the real protagonist? Oh wait, it was Ash. It doesn't have anything to do with the female protagonist from the games. No, not at all. It's Ash. They're just side characters that travel along with him.
They should have had the female counterpart being one of his companions instead of Misty.
I mean, they do in different regions.
Oh.
They're just there as side characters to come along with him. That's it. Like the only time Misty dropped out after Johto, I think. And then May came in and Hoenn, Dawn in Sinnoh, so on and so forth. But you never see the male protagonist. Because it's got to be Ash.
Right.
Because we can't just say, cool, Ash had the first 2 seasons of the main games. Let's move on and actually take a look at what the game story is. And
this series has one of the best side characters ever. Lynn's back!
But for a second, I don't know why, for a second, I didn't remember where you were going to go with this. I really should have known.
But this is a completely different Lynn than Fate Stay Night.
Yes and no. It's the same character. However, I think she's a bit older in this series. Like, outside of the whole time jump that happens in episode 1, I think she's older here. Like, I think in the original, in Fate Stay, I want to say she's like 15, 16, somewhere in there. I want to say in this, she's like 18.
And she has powers.
Yeah. Shocking. No,
Powers.
she's a mage. Of course she has powers.
Okay.
But different powers, like she can become a servant.
See, that's also the thing that's not really explained, which is really annoying.
Yeah, we don't know how or why. Like you said, it feels like this series is on fast forward.
Very much so.
Since it initially got 10 episodes, and then about 4 months after that, the final 3 came out, the last of which being a double-length, hour-long one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't understand. I didn't really look into it either, but I don't really understand why it ended up that way. I don't know if it was budget. I don't know if it was time constraints, but yes, this series does feel like it's on fast forward. A lot of characters don't feel like they get the development they really should have, and it relies heavily on you having played that game because of that.
I would say this is not a good entry point to
Oh fuck no!
series
Oh fuck no! No, it relies way too heavily on you knowing the game.
or the franchise in itself.
Yeah, a bit, kind of. Like, I feel like you could technically get into it without needing to know the franchise itself. You'll still be confused as hell, but I feel like it's not going to be the worst thing to jump in on it as your first one. At least from that standpoint. If you want to know what the fuck is going on or how the main antagonist got his powers, yeah, you're going to want to go and read that manga or watch that story, visual novel, or what have you.
Yeah, and I was thinking, wait, did he even have a servant? Yes,
Yes.
he does.
Technically, he had 2.
I only knew about 1.
There are 2. You get to see what his first servant was in one of the flashbacks he has.
That's the one I know of.
Which one was that?
Buddha?
No. Actually, you saw Buddha in the first episode. That's right. You see a flashback for like, I don't know, 50, maybe half a minute, I want to say. Like when he's monologuing in like one of the final episodes. You see a flashback and his servant's in silhouette behind him. Like when he's, I think, first getting to that final Grail War or whatever that he's in.
Were you able to tell who it was?
Oh, I know exactly who it was. It's Tomomo no Mae.
Really?
It's Fox Priestess, yep.
Because I heard she was going to be the 4th floor servant.
Which would have been really interesting, which means somebody else would have summoned her. Now, granted, by the point that would have probably happened, our antagonist Twice, yes, his name is actually Twice. Twice Peaceman. Twice H Peaceman, I'm sorry. Because clearly his name hasn't hit the nail on the head hard enough yet.
That is the dumbest name.
It's very bad.
And he gets introduced like about episode, well, he first gets brought up like near the end, really.
I mean, he's in episode, like, you see flashes of him throughout this entire series, but you don't understand why the fuck he's there or what's going on.
Like, who is this random man we're seeing?
When did this happen? Why is our main character talking to him? What the fuck is going on? I don't understand.
So, Ryan, any questions that we may be able to answer?
No, this is all very confusing. And
Nothing new so far then.
yeah, I'm trying to just piece everything together as you guys go. I have to. All right, so basically, you don't need to watch the previous.
It would
Thanks.
help.
It would
Or-
help. However, because of how vastly different this is, I feel like you don't absolutely need it.
Mhm.
It's more you would want to play the game to understand what the fuck is really going on in this series.
And that still may not help.
I feel the game would probably help a hell of a lot more. Because it will literally let you know what the fuck Twice is on about.
did this have... Yes, this did have a North American release for the PSP game in November 2011.
No, that would still be PSP era. I was trying to think, like, was that when the Vita was coming out? When was that?
And this series came out in 2018. So 7 years later.
Damn.
Yeah, besides Nero, we have Robin Hood,
Francis Drake, Li Shuen,
Gawain,
Nursery Rhyme.
who is tragic, very tragic.
It's a very sad day. There's technically like quite a few other servants that are just kind of shown in the background from flashbacks that we don't really get names for. Tamamo was one. We see Fuma Kotaro. There are quite a few other ones that I'm not thinking of right off the bat. But there are quite a few that just pop in as like flashbacks that they don't really address the names of because it's a flashback and it's not important to the story. I will say, like he said, I feel this series is on fast forward. I also feel like there's a lot that's going on in here that I don't know who directed it. I forget. Like I looked into it at one point when I first started watching this, like last year, before the last 3 episodes came out. But I remember thinking, this is fucking awful because it cuts to random, like, the camera, quote unquote, the camera cuts to like random ass points and it gets real obnoxious sometimes. Like in the fight with Robin, or not even the fight with Robin Hood, when we're on the floor that Robin Hood's on, the second floor, right? We get cuts from like, oh cool, our protagonist and Nero are talking, cool. That's great. We get one face to another face, we get them together as they're talking. And then all of a sudden we're getting an aerial shot from top down. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
They just like fuck the camera angle up even in the anime.
Yeah.
That can
In
happen.
this one, I'm like, why? I think the idea was like, because at that point in time, I think the idea was like Robin Hood, like we're getting his perspective of this because he's hidden and watching them.
Okay.
Or at least I think that was the idea. It was poorly executed because it felt out of nowhere. Like what we should have gotten was an establishing shot that he's there, and then a shot of like him look of that view from the top down. But no, we just get straight to the top down view, and it's like, what the fuck is going on?
And this guy might not have done a lot recently, because the main director, Yukihiro Miyamoto, did something in 2015, 2016, and then 2018 as a series director. So, and other than that, he had a lot of stuff in 2011, 2010. So he took time off from being a director for, I don't know what else. Wikipedia says nothing in between. So basically, it's his first time directing in about 3 or 4 years.
Oh god, it was so bad.
Oh,
Like
he did
it was hard to
Magica.
watch. Points on that were just really hard to watch.
He was a series director of Magica, which maybe I'll watch because Orobuchi. Yay. But this is unique that even though it's 1,000 years, this Holy Grail War is over, nobody won.
Yeah, nobody's technically won.
Because Twice is a giant douche.
He kills everyone that finally makes it to the final floor where the Grail's supposed to be because they never agree with his ideology.
That's dumb.
Yeah. Like, man, humanity's fucking useless, man. We need to kill them all because they're never going to do any fucking thing. And he does have a backstory to him. He has an interesting backstory where, like, he fought, or at least his original form, I should say, fought in, I believe that's supposed to be like the Fate Zero Grail War from 1999. But he dies in the end. And then, we kind of left out a big point in this.
What?
This entire series is taking place in a simulated world.
Oh, yes.
So is it like the video game, basically?
Technically, but it's like one of those things where you die in the game, you die for real.
Okay.
Kind of like Sword Art Online.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Yes, that. It's kind of like that, except this one, there's actual way more interesting lore that's
Uh-huh.
going on.
Well, it's based on like people from reality.
Well, it's not
Right.
even that. It's actually where that computer is. See,
Oh, okay.
and this is the more interesting part, which this series doesn't get into, but thanks to me playing some of Fate Extella, I kind of understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of. So if anyone wants to fucking correct me in the comments, please be my guest. I would love to learn. The idea is that this this series, this whole supercomputer is in fact something that's on the moon, and it was placed there way before humanity even existed. And its whole thing is to observe mankind.
Okay.
Whether or not that was what it chose to do in the end, or if that was something that it was programmed to do, we're unclear.
And mankind has been wiped out.
Yeah, because it's been 1,000 years, and when people found out about what they call the moon cell, which is the supercomputer on the moon, people were like, "Oh my god, we need to fucking get to that thing and start, using it."
Yeah.
So a bunch of people became what you call like a Spiriton hacker or whatever, people that like hacked their way into the moon cell and thus wound up inside this world that they call Seraph. Like that's the name of the virtual world inside of the moon cell. It's called Seraph. And it gets to be real confusing from there because supposedly you can like gain control of Seraph if you become the Grail War champion or whatever. After the last 1,000 years, humanity has kind of like imploded on itself and just gone to crazy murder lengths.
And apparently you can hack into the moon cell by like typing on the air. Or I have no idea what that was all about.
Well, I mean, they're already in the virtual world when they're doing that.
I know, but
So you're bringing up your menus as like transparent holograms in front of you.
are they like actually manipulating the system by typing?
Technically, yes.
But I thought you
I
could...
mean, they're manipulating it within the rule set.
Okay.
Like they're bringing items out of their inventory, etc., etc. Like it's one of those things where it's like, hey, you don't have like a limit of a physical backpack to hold you down here. You have an inventory you can use.
So basically, everybody is computer data in this.
That's essentially what we're getting at. Now, if that explains why Rin and a later character we find, Ronnie, have the ability to like meld with their servants, I have no idea because it doesn't really explain that part. Oh, by the way, that's the other thing I noticed. So, do you know who Rin's servant was?
Of course, Kukulane.
All right. What about Ronnie's? Because you probably would have gotten him in your bond point summon.
That I might not know because I might not play with that servant enough.
Lubu.
No, I don't play with Lubu all that much.
Yeah, Ronnie had a berserker. And
I don't even think I have Lubu.
I'm kind of surprised because he's low rarity. He's like a 2, I think.
Maybe I do.
Either way, point is, right, I don't know whether or not it explains that in the game or if that's even a thing in the game. Since, this is 1,000 years later, who knows? So here's the other thing we start learning about. This thing called a dead face, which is like the culmination of just negative emotions of the people that have died, culminating as backup data inside of the moon cell, which ends up being reincarnated with just those emotions intact. So they don't have a reason to live or anything. They just want to kill and want to die.
Damn.
Which we find out that, by the end of the series, our main character is one of those, and so apparently is twice H. at one point or another. He became one.
We don't know how or why, like, these dead faces, well, like, they're all negative emotions, but we don't know how these negative emotions gain sentience.
It's a glitch, is my assumption in the system.
And what's
because there's so much excess data, it's getting reused.
And what's slightly confusing is Hakuno is a quote-unquote reincarnation of Hakuno, which is the female protagonist in the PSP game.
The original one from 1,000 years ago.
So they have the same name.
Well, like, here's the thing, right? Do we know for a fact that that's the case? Like, that he's outright a reincarnation? Or is he just, like, the negative emotions after she lost?
I think it's stated at one point that she was, like, the central core of him.
So basically, she's the main emotion or whatever that's driving him. Or, like, her leftover data is what's being used as a core.
Yes. Because she also commanded Saber Nero.
Yeah, 1,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And she's... Oh, and let's just say about the floors and everything like that. And I don't know if this... But was Shinji, Dan Blackmore, and all the floor masters working for Twice or not?
I believe no. I think Shinji actually, from what I got out of it, I think he cowered it out. Like, he saw the killings of, like, other masters, just, like, the ruthlessness of it, and he didn't want to deal with it.
Then how did he survive to become the floor master?
I'm assuming that was what had happened. Like, after he had the ability to move up, because every time you kill a master, you summon basically the elevator to go up to the next floor, right? I think what ended up happening to him and what I got out of it was that he basically did that on the first floor, was still traumatized by having killed Hakuno, before he came out here, and was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So he ended up as the floor master because, he didn't ascend, he didn't do anything with that. He by default became the floor master and decided that I'm just going to make this a perfect world where people don't have to kill each other. Now, granted, that also makes him a target in the end, because anyone that would want to ascend needs to kill him. But he seemed to seemed to have the ability to convince everyone else of, like, no, this is a better option.
And when there's nobody left on the floor below you, it erases itself?
I guess when there's no more masters left, it starts erasing itself.
Which is weird because in episode 13, they get sent back to what is potentially the basement.
They call it the basement. From what they said originally, it sounds like it was supposed to be more of a prison, I guess. Like maybe it's the trash bin or something like that.
Beneath floor 1, so everything above them is non-existent?
It's probably just empty space, would be my guess.
So, yeah, this is a very confusing fate. I don't think it's super well told, and there's so many plot holes, including the ending. My God, the ending.
Oh?
Where Lynn somehow is the last survivor. She smiles, looks around her, and says, "Time to start again," and runs off into a giant field.
And here I thought you were going to complain about, like, why Hakuno was able to use the freaking Grail when he's an NPC just like Twice, and that's why Twice couldn't use it.
Yes, there's that too. And my biggest gripe Why is Rin blonde at the end?
That's the biggest problem. Clearly, that Rin is blonde.
No, no, but that just confused me. I'm like, is this a new Rin? Is this somebody different?
Well, I mean, she says we need to start over, but she's the last living master as far as we're aware, the last living human.
So
So what is she going to start over with?
Yes.
Like, I get that at this point she's technically the one that can run Seraph and do whatever she wants with it, but, like, what are you going to do? Humanity, as far as we know, is essentially dead. You're the last one. And as far as I know, when you lose, or in this case, give up your servant in, like, the floor 1 case, you're basically as dead as you can get. Because, like, once that floor went away, all those floor masters died, as far as I can tell.
Wasn't there a Zelda enemy called Floor Master?
Wall master.
Okay, Wall Master.
Or master.
Those are the big hands that would, like, grab you and throw you out.
Wait. No. They were also Floor Masters.
Oh, were there?
Yes, in Ocarina of Time.
Huh. Alright, you know that.
Wind
you know
Waker, Minish Cap.
I only remember Wall Masters, but hey, I didn't play much Zelda, I'll be honest.
I just
Yeah.
looked online.
Yeah.
I would say, for me, this was a 7 out of 10, 6.5. It held my interest, but I was really confused.
And still are, I bet.
Yes, which may be quelled when we do a deep end later this week.
Maybe? I have no freaking idea. Because I don't know if I'm going to be much better off than you are in this case.
But we may bounce ideas off of each other and potentially find an answer.
You sound very hopeful for something I don't know if that'll be the case. I make no promises because I'm not much better off than you. Yes, I played Extella, but that only helps in so many ways. And I haven't finished Extella either. I just haven't had the time. Which, granted, it's very much like a Dynasty Warriors game. You're just flying through enemies, so it is fun, but haven't had the time.
I've never gotten that PS2 emulator that I've been wanting.
But yeah, no, I have to agree with you that for me it probably hits like a 6. Like, there's some good shit here. It's just executed really badly.
The Noble Phantasm animations are amazing.
And I feel like Drake didn't get her due with that either. Like, a lot of the fights feel like they're cut short. Like, they should have lasted longer, or there should have been some more, like, choreography going on with them than there were.
Because I think the final fight with Twice only takes about 15 minutes.
Out of what is like an hour-long episode.
They could have, like, drug it out.
Well, yeah, because they don't even really fight Twice. They're just like, oh man, let's stop the thing that's up there that he's using. We don't need to fight him at all, really.
And they were more like defending against his attacks rather than fighting him directly.
Which can work. It's just it felt way too easy, I'll be honest, to get it done. It honestly felt like it should have taken more time. It should have been more difficult. It felt like it was like we've been saying this whole time. It felt kind of rushed.
Yeah. So, Ryan, might you watch this?
I don't know if it'd be easier if I just forget it exists entirely
So
or try to watch it.
let's put that in the no category. So
Yeah.
good. Out of close to 50 anime, we have about 15 yeses for you.
Yeah.
Like a lot of maybes and only about 4 no's. So good.
Yep.
I mean, we've hit what? How many Fate series have we done now? Like, this is the fourth
Like,
one, and it's the first one that's
yeah, at
actually
least
not
4.
that good.
I believe this will be our third Fate episode.
We did Zero, we did Apocrypha, we did the Grand Order movie, and then this one.
Yeah, Zero got erased in the sands of time.
Oh, did it? Oh, shit.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z Part 3 and Phase Zero never got made because that's when Andrew started having the... And then it never really got around to it.
Okay.
But if you want to...
If you want to talk, fine, all right? Then they have been discussed,
Yes.
At least to some degree or another. It just never ended up, coming out publicly. But point is, that would still be 4, and out of those 4, plus let's include the ones that you and I have watched but not discussed here, right?
Yeah, I've
So
seen
include
Zero.
Blade Works. Let's also include Blade Works then,
Yeah.
because we both watched that and it was good. That's 5 at that point, and only 1 out of 5 is bad. And it just comes down to execution more than it has the actual content.
But if anything, I would suggest Fate Zero as a good entry point.
It does help. Fate Zero is a great entry point.
Granted, the original was Fate Stay Night, and Zero is the
It's the prequel.
prequel. But you could watch them Zero, Stay Night, and it would still make complete sense.
Okay.
But other than that, I guess that wraps up this episode. Tune in next time for some very, very not creepy stories. Depends on which dub you watch.
I forgot this was the next one.
Yes, it is. And, just for future reference, we will be watching the comedy version.
The one time the dub's better.
Oh my god. Actually, I think I could say a few examples of where the dub is better that I would need to think about, but...
I mean, there's no argument it's better. You could list them and I will argue with you. I will give legitimate arguing. This one I cannot argue.
True. And one last thing I heard, speaking about dubs, the guy who made Cowboy Bebop says the English dub is better.
It's one of that's also one of the few that I will not argue with.
So, join us in 2 weeks. Later.
See ya.